wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Why, hello, my lovely fans. It's that H-E-A to that D. Anthony Walker here, the host of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, here for another episode of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an action-packed episode today. Usually it's 60 minutes. Well, the aim is 60 minutes anyway. It might go a little bit longer than scheduled this time, guys, because it is an action-packed episode. We've got a lot to talk about today in the world of professional wrestling. On today's show, we're going to talk Raw. We're going to talk Smackdown, NXT, Takeover. I'll play that audio later on. Ring of Honor and TNA. Yes, I'll throw TNA in there as well. I'll just go through what happened. I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. ICW is back on this side of the podcast. The Wrestling Matters Podcast is back with ICW because the Friday Night Fight Club's back. Now, I didn't even know it was back, but don't worry, guys. I'm going to catch up on it today because I'm going to review, that's right, I'm going to review Episode 1 and Episode 2. That's right, Episode 1 and Episode 2 on this very podcast. So don't worry, you're going to get your daily dose of the return of ICW Insane Championship Wrestling here only on the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Now, also, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of ICW, I've been doing some research this week and I've got a little bit of an announcement to make regarding the ICW podcasts and the Progress Wrestling ones as well. That's right, because I got a little creative direction for them as well. But more on that later on in the show as well. Also, the last and final part of the Michael Larkin interview. That's right, so this could go 2 hours, guys. This could go 3 hours or 2.5, whatever. It might go down that route. I don't care. I'm trying to build an action-packed, entertaining podcast for you guys to sit back, relax, and listen to. Also, more on Mystery Island as well, but like I said, that would be towards the end of the podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got a little bit of something I want to get off my chest, as I like to do on this podcast. I like to get off, if there's something in there, in the weeks, gone by and everything, I like to talk about it. As far as wrestling goes, I like to talk about it. It's what I do. But I'm going to start this podcast off, ladies and gentlemen, with a little bit of an apology. Yes, you heard me correct. I'm man enough to admit, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm wrong. I'm man enough to admit that. Very man enough to admit it. But I've been wrong, ladies and gentlemen. It's wrong. That time and a place where you have to stand up, put your hand up and admit that you were wrong. Because if you go back to episode 88 of the podcast, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your support on that episode. Over 600 views on YouTube. I could kiss you all, I really could, but I'm not going to because I'll be here a long time. If you went back to that podcast, I put on and I talked about how WWE are trying to force fans to cheer Roman Reigns because of what's happened and everything with Survivor Series, Sheamus cashing it in, Sheamus becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. Well, I like to hold my hand up and say I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry, because whatever WWE was trying to do worked, and I'm not going to lie, it did work. Now, as we all know what happened to TLC, he got screwed by the League of Nations, and no, I'm going to play the audio of the Raw review later, but I'll speak about it now. The following night on Raw, he became the new World Heavyweight Champion. Now, that's not the part, because the part was he was getting cheered by the Philly fans, the same Philly fans, okay, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, same Philadelphia fans that booed him out the building when he won the Rumble earlier this year, okay, the same fans, they cheered him out the building, okay, you might have got the odd 1 or 2 booing him out the building still, but hey, John Cena gets that, and at the pay-per-view, the TLC pay-per-view, when he literally beat the crap out of Triple H with that chair, I heard people shout, Thank you, Roman. Thank you, Roman. It seems whatever WWE did from Survivor Series to the point where we're at right now worked, because they could have handed the belt over to him at Survivor Series, but they wanted him to be the babyface. They wanted people to cheer him, and it obviously worked because people started cheering him. And when he won the championship, it worked. They cheered him. What's going to happen as time progresses? Who knows? But whatever WWE did worked. Now, everybody hates Sheamus, but they used Sheamus as the champion to get Roman Reigns over. That's what it seemed. And it, like I say, it worked very effectively. And on Monday Night Raw, he won the World Championship, the World Heavyweight title. Now, I might get heat for this, because I know there's a lot of Roman Reigns haters right now that are listening to this podcast. He has earned that World Heavyweight Championship, that WWE World Heavyweight title. I don't care what anybody says. He earned it. Considering what happened going back to the Royal Rumble, they got booed out the building. Leading into WrestleMania, he was going to face Brock Lesnar. Everybody thought that he couldn't stand a chance against Brock Lesnar. Went there, took an ass whooping of a lifetime, and then Seth Rollins comes out and spoils it by cashing it in, the Money in the Bank, and takes the title away from him. Fast forward to where we are right now. He gets up in feuds with, Bray Wyatt and that, which in a way kind of helped. But fast forward to where we are right now. Seth Rollins gets injured. He wins the championship at Survivor Series, only to have the carpet yanked right out from under him again when Sheamus comes out with the cash in, all because he wouldn't shake Triple H's hand. Triple H started to screws. Triple H got his revenge on Triple H at TLC by literally beating the crap out of him with that chair. And hell, Vince McMahon tried to pull a stunt on Monday Night Raw. What did he get for it? A Superman punch right in the jaw. And now Roman Reigns defied the odds and earned the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He absolutely earned it. And you know what? Fair play to him for doing it as well. What will happen next? Who knows? I read this week that Daniel Bryan might be contemplating retiring because this neck injury that he's had may force him to retire. I don't know. I guess we'll find that out in weeks to come. But Roman Reigns, whether you like it or not, earned the World Heavyweight Championship. Be interested to see what direction he's going to go from now until WrestleMania, because unless WWE pulls something from between now and WrestleMania involving Roman Reigns, it looks like he's going to be dropping the title at WrestleMania. He's won the title at TLC, he's going to go right the way through and drop it at WrestleMania. And out in the pipeline right now, since I don't know if John Cena's going to be wrestling at WrestleMania for the championship, because there's rumors about him that have been pretty much confirmed from what I've got, that he's going to be facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania. We may see another Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match. Well, Lesnar's back tonight, from what I've been told, and he's going to be going after Alberto Del Rio, if you believe the dirt sheets. He may very well get a shot, and we may see Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar 2 at WrestleMania, except this time without Seth Rollins. So who knows? But what's happened now with Roman Reigns becoming world champion has left the gap open for who's going to win the Rumble, because I didn't expect him to win it on Raw, and apparently the ratings have gone up from what I've seen because Vince McMahon coming back and that. So obviously Vince is smart enough to realize, holy shit, the Raw ratings are low. Let's get him. I gotta do something, and obviously it's worked. But they might need to start doing that a little bit more often, because maybe that's what's missing from Raw and SmackDown. Title changes, World Championship changes. Maybe they need to start defending the title on Raw a little bit more often. And, why not defend it on SmackDown as well? Even though nobody really cares about SmackDown. But, that's one way to start making people care about SmackDown. Title matches, title changes, because all these times, most of the time, you see Intercontinental Championship matches, the tag matches, tag team title matches on Raw and SmackDown and whatever. You've never seen a WWE World Championship match. Maybe they need to start doing that. Maybe that can improve the rate. Obviously, build to it. Don't, stick it in there straight away. You got to build to them kind of matches. But maybe that's what's missing, Maybe that's what's missing from the ratings. Maybe that's the reason why Raw and SmackDown's ratings are so low. Even though SmackDown, apparently, from what I've been seeing, is improved and on the level of a Raw, which is surprising, because let's face it, SmackDown hasn't been the same since 2004 time at the most. People don't really care about SmackDown. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope them going on that show going on USA Network next year gives WWE an opportunity, to work on both shows instead of, one show, because it seems they've been working on the Raw show more than they're working on SmackDown. Hopefully next year they can work on both shows, since both shows are going to be on the USA Network. But I mean, it's an interesting dichotomy of where where WWE is going to go after Christmas, and it'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, they've got my attention. Question is, will the plan that they have work for them? Remains to be seen. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end part 1 there. I'll be back Well, I'll be back right after this with the NXT audio, the NXT London audio that I did this week on the wrestling, that I did last week on the Wrestling Matters channel, which got 100 views in 1 hour. And then the next day I woke up and it got over 400, close to 500 views, which is amazing. And then after that, I'll take a break between that. And then after that, I'll play the Raw audio as well, which got over 1,000 views, 1,600 views. Ish, around about that at time, but it got over 1,000 views within a week. So again, guys, thank you for your support, and I've got a big announcement to make later on about the progress and the ICW podcast as well, because I got a little something creative that I could do as well besides the wrestling video podcasts that I do on Raw and Smackdown. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be back. Part 2. I'll be back in part 4 with SmackDown and NXT, so stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Professional wrestling fans, NXT fans. It is me, that HEAD, here with you for another one of my videos that I like to do, the review videos. And I'm going to review NXT TakeOver because I've just finished watching it on the network as I'm about to do this. And boy, oh boy, what a show. Unbelievable, top to bottom. Just incredible. You know, this is what wrestling is all about. Professional wrestling is all about. This is what I stand for on this channel. If you don't believe me, just go back and watch the show again. And it's, oh my God, it's incredible. I'm going to review it. Not really much to say, really, because it was a 5-star show from top to bottom. Absolutely incredible. And culminated with, to me, what was an epic main event involving Joe and Finn Balor. But we're going to start with Asuka and Emma. Now, this one surprised me a little bit because, all right, Emma had Dana Brooke on the outside doing a thing, you know, try to distract Asuka in any possible chance she can get, you know, using the numbers advantage to Emma's advantage, at least, you know, Emma having her in a corner and everything. Asuka brought the fight to Emma, she always does. But Emma brought the fight as well. This is a different Emma. I mean, the Emma that I've seen up until this point, I don't think I remember seeing her first run in NXT, if I remember correctly. I saw I'm seeing Emma's run now. This is what she should have been on the main roster instead of doing that stupid little dance thing. She should have been like this because I give her credit. She was impressive in this match. I mean, everybody expected this to be a cakewalk for Asuka. It wasn't. She earned the victory, which she eventually got. And Emma brought it, man. She brought the fight to her. She wrestled her at any possible chance she can get. It was just super, super cool to watch. I mean, super cool to watch Emma, you know, wrestle. Not go around doing this stupid little dance thing that she does and being the Pied Piper of flowing bubbles. It's ridiculous. I mean, all the credit in the world to her. But Asuka had her in the chokeout thing, the Asuka hold. She tapped out, but the referee was distracted with Dana, and the referee ejected Dana, and Asuka was distracted as well. Emma turns around. And by the way, this is a spoiler, by the way, if you turn off if you haven't seen it yet. She takes it in and clobbers her goes to clobber her with the weapon that she had in her hand. But as she did that, Asuka hit her with a spin kick, which hit Emma right on the chin, knocked her out, and Asuka gets the victory. Just a great start. And like I said, my hat's off to Emma. That's the first time I've ever seen her, wrestle, because I'm used to seeing her on Raw doing this, stupid thing like that. Maybe she's got something there in NXT. Maybe she want to keep it and not go back on the main roster again. And if she happens to go back on the main roster, allow her to be who she is now, not do this stupid dance all the time. Sorry if that's ridiculous, but I'm just trying to prove a point. Anyway, NXT tag team titles. Dash Dawson, Enzo, and Big Cass. Now, I don't know about you, but the fucking crowd was epic. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Big Cass. Oh, my God. I wish we could get the crowd like this. I mean, I love the UK fans, man. I mean, I wish the crowd was like this in Raw in America and everything. It's only like this when it comes over to the UK because the UK fans are there to have a good time. They're there to watch wrestling show. They're there to have a good time. If they don't like you, they will piss on you. And, you know, it was just fucking epic. Epic from start to finish. Two great teams going at it. I've never doubted the fact that Enzo and Cass are a great team. But they didn't do anything in this match. I mean, Dash and Dawson, who retained, by the way, well, compared to Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, which in a way I kind of saw in this match. I don't know if I would agree with that fully yet. We'd have to see there's potential there. The potential is there. I mean, all them two were doing was just wrestling these two guys and working on the leg of Big Cass. But once again, Enzo Amore, at least from my perspective, Big Cass and Enzo get shafted out the tag team titles again. But full credit to the champions. They did what they had to do, and they got the victory. And these two could be a new revolution for the tag team division in WWE on the main roster, because the tag team division in NXT is hot at the moment. It is hot as hell, a bit like Carmella. But I mean, these two could establish a wrestling side to the tag team division in WWE. I really do think so. I mean, there's a lot of teams that can do that in the main roster in NXT. It's just them getting booked right, and you know, because let's face it, creative in WWE at the moment on the main rosters sucks. And I've always said, if you want wrestling, you go to NXT. And tonight was a perfect example of that. I mean, what worries me is all these guys, all these tag teams that are going onto that roster that will eventually get the call up to the main roster and not get anywhere. They'll end up like the Ascension, you know, a bunch of nobodies. You know, I mean, the Ascension now are in and out of NXT, but they're basically being sidekicks to go to Stardust at the moment, which baffles me. I mean, these guys were the longest reigning tag team champions in NXT, and now they've been brought up as modern day Road Warriors, or Road Warrior Road Warrior rip-offs. Well, that's not easy to say. And they've been brought down as, you know, they're basically being underused. I mean, that's why Balor hasn't been brought up yet, because Triple H is worried about him getting underused. More on Finn later on. But a great tag team match, which saw Dash and Dawson retain the tag team titles. What's next for Enzo Amore and Cassidy? I would have probably imagine another tag team title match somewhere down the road. They'll earn another shot at some point. The question is, will they ever get the belts? I hope so, because I don't want them to go into a JBL against Batista, have 3 matches against Batista and not win a title. Or have Paige against Nikki Bella, have matches with her for the Divas title and not win any one of them. It doesn't look good. It's stuff like that makes it doesn't look good. I mean, they are the most popular team in NXT at the moment, but they're not getting anything to show for it. To be the best, you have to be the tag team champions, and they're not getting that at the moment, which is a shame. But Dash and Dawson move on as tag team champions in a great tag team match, back and forth stuff, and yeah, I look forward to hopefully another match between the two teams, or seeing what Dash and Dawson do next. Next match on the card was Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. Now, these two went at it, like expected. Two great competitors going at it. And yes, I'd said Baron Corbin was a great competitor. I would pick Apollo Crews out of, if I had to pick one, I'd definitely pick Apollo out of that. But it was the most shocking moment of the night for me, because Baron Corbin won. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought they would allow Apollo to get his revenge. but Corbin got the win. You know, I mean, a lot of people don't like Corbin at the moment. He's not well liked in the roster, but he got the victory, and full credit to him for it. And I'll give him credit. I'm on the fence with Corbin. I mean, people like him, or may like him. People might find him, he's the most boring thing in the world. Don't like him at all. But I don't really care about that, to be honest. But I was surprisingly shocked I'm very surprised that he got the victory against Apollo, because I was expecting Apollo to get his revenge. But he got the victory, which was shocking. It'd be interesting to see where he goes now after this big win, because it was a huge win for him. Corbin, I don't care what anyone says. Maybe you'll get an NXT title shot. Maybe he could be next in line for the NXT champion. Who knows? But surely he's going to get something big out of this victory, because that was a huge win. I don't think anybody expected that to happen. I know I didn't. I was expecting Apollo to win. Maybe there'll be a rematch between the two somewhere down the road. I don't know, but very, very surprising moment in what was actually a good match between the two. A really good match. But like I said, shocking ending, because I didn't expect Apollo to lose and Corbin to get the victory. But fair play. Fair play to Baron. The next match was Bayley and Nia Jax, but Nia Jax was backstage talking, giving a promo for the upcoming match. And she got stared down by somebody, and it turned out to be Asuka. Asuka confronts Nia Jax backstage, and these two stare at each other, and Asuka just smiles and walks away. Could there be something in the pipeline? Is Nia Jax Asuka's next opponent? I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Now for the NXT Women's Title match, which saw a match that was basically dominated by Nia Jax and some stupid commentary from one Corey Graves. Oh my God! I swear it's like listening to JBL on Raw. With his stupid stuff and everything. I mean, it was like it in the Corbin match, and it was like it in this match as well. Yes, I agreed with him that Nia was dominant and she was proven dominant, but he just slated Bayley in this match, and Bayley proves him wrong. The funny thing about it was, Bayley towards the end of the match had Nia in the guillotine choke, and and Corey says Nia's fighting back, and as soon as he says that, Nia taps out, and Bayley retains the title. That was just epic, because I bet he had egg on his face when that happened. Oh yeah, Nia's fighting back. No, she's not. She taps out. And Bayley retains the title, proving that she's the underdog and the face of the women's division. Nia Jax is the awesome kong of that division. No question about it. I mean, she was dominant most of the match. Bayley had to use speed and quickness. Nia Jax just outpowered her. She threw around like a rag doll for most of the match, but Bayley found a way to win and got the victory, and more importantly, impressively, made a tap out to the guillotine choke, much to Corey Graves' despair, which was hilarious, because I don't know what to make Corey Graves. He sucks as an announcer. I really don't like him as an announcer. I'd probably pick him over JBL, but that's another issue for another day. Anyway, what's next for Bayley? I don't know. There'll be somebody in the pipelines waiting to come up, somebody who's there. Preferably not Eva Marie, please. I bet Eva Marie was disappointed in that, but anyway, less said about her, the better. And Bayley remains the face of the women's division, and full credit to her. Fair play to her for it. And she is a member of the Four Horsewomen. I don't care what anyone says. Now to the match that, in my opinion, stole the show. Samoa Joe and Finn Balor for the NXT title. The Demon, Finn Balor, that is. And the awesome paintwork on his back, man. That artwork on his back was fucking epic. I wish I did that at that, but anyway. Two great warriors going at it for the NXT title. It was the old school Samoa Joe not the guy who's been in gimmicks in TNA since he lost to Kurt Angle, his first match in TNA to Kurt Angle. The old Samoa Joe, the guy who ran Ring of Honor for 2 years as world champion. You know, the badass, you know, I'm Samoa Joe, I'm pro wrestling. Samoa Joe, I love that. And he showed it in this match tonight. Old school moves as well, the running through the second rope dive that he does, just so good to watch. And Finn Balor bringing the fight. Both of these guys brought the fight to each other. It was a hard-hitting physical contest, and you could see at the end of the match, because Joe had to be helped back to the locker room, and Finn was getting checked on by the trainer. So these two literally beat the snot out of one another in this match for the NXT title, which saw Finn get the victory, the Coup de Grace, as it's been called, the coup de grace, whatever it is, the double stomp off the top rope, and he gets the victory for it. And you know what? Fair play to him, man. I mean, I wouldn't have been disappointed if Joe got the victory by a new faded win. They're not done with him as NXT champion yet. Triple H ain't done with him. And like I said earlier on, they're trying to keep him grounded at the moment from the call-up. He's going to get the call-up eventually to go to the main roster. There's no question about that. But Triple H is trying to plan his future on the roster. You know, not having him go up there, get underused, and have him come back again kind of thing. He's trying to plan it, which is smart, because I would sure hate to see Finn Balor go on the main roster and get underused. It would really piss me off. And the Balor Club was in full effect. The original founder of the Bullet Club, Mr. Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, retains the NXT Championship. What's next for him? Maybe a match with Baron Corbin. Maybe Corbin will, has proven that he deserves a title shot after the win against Cruz. Maybe another match with Joe again. I wouldn't mind seeing another match with Joe. If it's anything like this match, I'm all for it. What's next for Joe? Maybe another rematch. You know, he might have to earn another shot again, and it's all these questions that we have to ask. Only Triple H knows. But full credit, guys. If you haven't seen this, just go and watch it again. Go and watch it all over again. Go and watch it. It's going to be on the network. This is why you should subscribe to the network. One of the reasons why you should subscribe to the network is matches and takeover like this. You know, it shows like this, man. I mean, you might not like the network, but how can you not be subscribed to it when there's shows like this on it, man? This is the only chance you get to see NXT. Whether NXT gets shown over in the UK on Sky Sports, I don't know. But a great show, top to bottom, 5 out of 5, and I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It was just superb, absolutely superb, top to bottom. Not the best NXT show that I've probably seen, but it's up there. And say if I had to pick a top 5 or maybe a top 3, it would definitely be in there. No question about it. Very impressive. But the stars of the show, in my opinion, were the crowd. You know, besides the wrestlers, that's a different matter. The crowd was fucking epic. You know, singing that song with Bailey. Hey, hey, Bailey. Ooh, I want to know if you're Bianca. How creative is that, man? It's just so good. And then the Big Cass song, the Hey Jude song with the Beatles. You know, it's a shame they can't get this on Raw and SmackDown every week, man, because it would be just epic. I mean, the only time you'll probably get this is after WrestleMania, because that's where it usually, goes down. But just superb show, superb stuff. And NXT is kicking ass. And this is why I've always said, if you want wrestling in the WWE, despite the fact Cole always tries to discount it, yes, NXT is a different show. It's his own show and everything. It's trying to separate and be its own brand. I get that. But at the end of the day, it's still WWE. And what pisses me off is every time Cole mentions Kevin Owens' first match in WWE, he always mentions John Cena. It sounds like he's spitting in the face of NXT, which just pisses me off. But NXT is a part of WWE. And to be honest with you, no disrespect to Ring of Honor or any other indie promotion, it's the number one promotion in that league at the moment, because I don't think Ring of Honor or PWG although they do good shows, I don't think anyone can compete on the level of this or can compete at the rate NXT's going at the moment, man, because NXT's number one. And if you want professional wrestling, if you want a good solid tag team division, if you want a good women's division in, wrestling, if you want wrestling, because there was This Is Wrestling chance in there. If you want professional wrestling, watch NXT because you damn sure get it. And it's funny how Triple H gets it and Vince McMahon doesn't. Because on the main roster, you do not get stuff like this. You might get some great matches here and there, but there is creative, WWE creative on the main roster, but it's nowhere near a level of an NXT. And plus, it's very bad. That's why people are tuning into NXT, because you're going to get wrestling. That's why people are going in, subscribing to the network to watch the old school videos, because you want to be entertained. Because on Raw at the moment right now, lowest ratings, that needs to improve. I could say the same for SmackDown, but I saw SmackDown's viewing figures a couple of weeks ago, and they did get some good figures. They were competing up there with Raw, but at the end of the day, SmackDown hasn't been good since, say, 2004 time, round about that era, maybe 2003, and it's just a shame that the main roster are second place. Raw and SmackDown are second place to NXT, and I get worried when great wrestlers in this NXT have to go to the main roster. I just hope Triple H doesn't just do it for Finn Balor. I hope Triple H thinks about the other members of the roster as well when they eventually get the call up. Because at the moment right now, Finn's going to get the call up, but what worries me is if he gets underused. Because we all know what Vince McMahon's like, right? And the video will explain it all on YouTube. He's out of touch. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this video. 5 out of 5, now 9 out of 10 ratings. Great show, top to bottom. Unbelievable show. And if you haven't seen it, go and watch it on the network. And it's worth watching again and again and maybe again. My name is Anthony Walker. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Tune into my podcast. The new episode, this week's episode is up there. Go and check it out. Also, tune into my website as well, where you can watch this video, as well as the TLC review and the Raw review as well. Go and check it out. All the links to that will be in the description below. And this will also be going up on Facebook, on the Facebook page, facebook.com/WM Podcast, at WM Podcast on Twitter, the Wrestling Madness channel, where professional wrestling matters and sports entertainment does not. My name is Anthony Walker. Enjoy the rest of the evening or the day, wherever it is you are, and I'll see you soon. Peace. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker. Welcome to the WWE Raw review. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, yes, I did this at 3 o'clock, but I actually saw it. And since I'm working tomorrow night doing my job, I thought I'll do it now. I've got nothing else to do. So I thought, why not? I'll do it now. Hope you've enjoyed Raw, because I sure as hell did. A few odd things here and there, but we have a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And wow, he finally did it. More on that in a second. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'll do that now. Raw started with Stephanie confronting Roman Reigns, which was expected. And she slaps him and does all that stuff and everything. And, Roman just took it on the chin, which was hilarious. And then Vince McMahon showed up. And Vince looking like he wanted to fight him. And then Sheamus comes out, says he'll put, and then, one thing leads to another, and he says they'll make the championship match and put the title on the line. Roman Reigns versus Sheamus. And if Roman Reigns lost, we all knew Roman Reigns was going to win eventually. But the minute Vince McMahon said, if Roman Reigns doesn't win, he's fired. Bingo! We're going to have a new WWE champion. And the match was set. The match was agreed to. The World Heavyweight title, WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And hey, he did it. Same as last night, throwing all the odds. You know, the League of Nations getting involved. The League of Nations getting involved. Who else? Oh yeah, Vince McMahon trying to screw him and everything. You know, with the, the holding of the referee and the pulling out of the referee when he had him beat and everything, and Roman Reigns being busted open. Yes, there was blood, ladies and gentlemen. That obviously going to piss Vince McMahon off, except he couldn't kick off backstage because he was at ringside. And yeah, Roman Reigns, out of all the odds, and Superman punching Vince McMahon, knocking him out, and JBL blowing a fit at ringside, trying to be the corporate heel announcer and not doing a very good job. But then again, when does JBL ever do a very good job of his announcing? Because he hasn't been the same since 2006 when he was on SmackDown with Michael Cole. And let's face it, he sucks. But above all the odds, Sheamus was going for a bro kick. And finally, it happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roman Reigns is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen Raw, don't watch the video. Okay, spoiler alert right now. I've said it. WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I would imagine you're not watching this video right now if you haven't seen Raw. If you have seen Raw, okay. But like I said, it's a spoiler alert, guys. There is spoilers in this video. So if you don't like it, watch it when you've seen Raw. Now, all things led to one. I mean, it was what it was at the end of the day, and it was a pretty good Raw. The Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, the Intercontinental Champion. My man, Dean Ambrose. Greatest moment in the history of TLC, quite frankly, and the best moment of the year. Dean Ambrose winning the Intercontinental Championship against Kevin Owens. But as expected, he has a match with Dolph Ziggler. It was a pretty good match. But as expected, Kevin Owens gets involved. And Dolph wins by DQ because Kevin Owens attacks Dean Ambrose. Obviously, like I said at the TLC review video, which is still available, by the way, over 1,000 likes. Thank you so much, guys. I knew this wasn't over. I knew this feud wasn't over. And yes, there is a rematch in the pipeline for Mr. Kevin Owens. I would imagine it'll be next week at the Slammy Award show, the Slammy Award-winning show that is Slammy Awards. But yeah, it would be... I mean, that's what they're going to do. I doubt they're going to wait until after Christmas to give him his rematch, but I could see that next week. But yeah, I knew it was going to happen eventually. Kevin Owens is going to come out. He's going to cost him the match. And the feud will still continue, probably until next week when the rematch will be set. Because it's a big show next week. And apparently Lesnar's back. So, if you want to talk more, if you want me to talk more about that, I suggest you listen to my podcast as well. I mean, what's this deal also? I'll talk about this now while I'm waiting. I mean, what's this deal with The Miz? Man, for real? What's this thing he's got with Adrian Neville? Or Neville, as he's now known as. I mean, blooming heck. Yeah, as I was saying earlier on, Roman Reigns comes out. Vince McMahon comes in and basically kicks him in the groin, does what he did to Bret Hart before their match at WrestleMania, and then everything led to the match later on in the evening. R-Truth went one-on-one with Bo Dallas, which was supposed to have happened, but I credit Vince McMahon. I thank Vince McMahon for cutting that match off, because let's face it, I mean, Truth versus Bo Dallas. Who cares? I mean, R-Truth is on the verge of retirement from what I've read, and I couldn't give a flying fuck about Bo Dallas, so so that was the good thing that Vince McMahon did, getting rid of that match. I mean, talk about a bathroom break. Anyway, two members of the League of Nations, Rusev and Alberto Del Rio, faced their opponents at TLC, Ryback and Jack Swagger. And you know what? They beat them as well. And it was a good little tag match. Nothing new. I expected the League of Nations to win. To be honest, I expected it all to go down that way. I just didn't care about the match, quite frankly. I didn't really care about that match much last night. I mean, the United States title match could have been a one-on-one, could have been just left as a one-on-one match, but they threw a chairs match in at the last minute. And the Rusev Ryback feud is based through what Lana's been pulling lately, so it's in the case of, yeah, whatever. And yet, Neville defeats Tyler Breeze, okay? Neville defeats Tyler Breeze, but I do not get this thing with him and The Miz. Why is Neville, a great talent like him, hanging around a goofball like The Miz, a guy who just like he's pulled out a suit from Lady Gaga's wardrobe or something? It's ridiculous. I mean, he's trying to recruit him. What for, I do not know. I mean, where's this going to go? Is there going to be a feud between these two? Is there going to be a match somewhere down the road? I don't know. And quite frankly, I care about Neville because Neville's a great athlete and he's great to watch. But Miz hasn't been the same since he used to be the awesome. That one. And considering the way he is right now, guys, if you start watching WWE and you look at the Miz now, you wouldn't think he was WWE champion. And it's true, he was a former WWE champion. And he's gone from a former WWE champion and being awesome to someone who looks like he's raided Lady Gaga's wardrobe or something. I mean, seeing him in that makes me miss the Miz Awesome WWE champion, Miz. It really does. And I can't believe I just said that. But anyway, the Wyatt family and Dudley Boys and Rhino and Team ECW went at it again. It was an extreme fight, just continued where they left off. But the team of the Dudleys and Tommy Dreamer and Rhino just couldn't get the job done. They couldn't beat the guys. And Eric Rowan splashes. It was a fight, like it was expected. #extreme. And Rowan squashes Rhino, puts him through a table, and the Wyatts get another victory, which was, a case of whatever, quite frankly. I mean, it would have made more interesting if Team ECW did actually win the match. But I could understand them getting the victory. Sorry about my squeaky chair. I could understand them getting the victory last night. I think it would have made more sense if Team ECW got the victory tonight. Even though I picked ECW to win last night, I'm glad the Wyatts actually won in a way because they do need some credibility when it comes to pay-per-view wins, especially Bray Wyatt. But all in all, it was just, it was just a whatever match, an OMG match, and it was a fight, which it was good to watch, but I would have said Team ECW should have won that one. But anyway, I'm not the booker. I know New Day actually showed respect. Can you believe that? Because of what they went through at the TLC ladders match with the New Day, Sin Cara and Kalisto and the Usos. They actually came out and shook their hands and respected the guys, which was something, I suppose. And then the Lucha Dragons and Usos went up the ramp, turned around, saw the New Day start dancing again, the New Day Rocks dance that they always do at the end. And the Usos and Sin Cara and Kalisto, the Lucha Dragons, thought, what the hell, we'll come back and beat them up. And they did. It's amazing. It's amazing one of the Usos is even walking after that. Selena Del Sol. He took off the ladder last night. Jesus. Good grief. Anyway, Divas champion Charlotte teamed with Becky Lynch Horsemen, or Horsewoman in this case, took on Team Bella. Oh, another reunion at PCB. I don't know. Apparently, I didn't really see much of this match, but apparently Flair interfered again, and Becky got the submission win on Alicia Fox. Where's this going? I do not know. I do sense a heel turn. I thought it would have happened last night with Becky coming in, being and then turning on Charlotte. I would have thought it would have happened last night. I do see it coming. It's just a case of when. And, what's the direction of this little thing? It's building up to a match. I know that. But where? And is Becky Lynch going to be the next Divas champion? Are they building up to that? It's hard to figure out where this Divas division is now going with this. But I said it in my TLC review. Link in the description below if you haven't seen it. I said it in there. I mean, where's it going? I don't know. And it's a case of what if kind of thing now. I mean, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? I mean, Charlotte's gone from a Divas champion, an incredible Divas champion too, I might add. And I'm glad she's the champion. But she's starting to get more of her antics with Ric Flair. And I watched the Shawn Michaels podcast. Whether she's doing that because now she's a heel, maybe she needs to take her own direction. If she wants to be the credible Divas champion that she is, she doesn't want to be remembered for being Ric Flair's daughter. Okay, we all know she is Ric Flair's daughter, but she needs to create her own identity. It's all about creating their own identities, and she's not doing it in this way. I mean, last night she did antics of her father during the match with Paige. I don't know where this is going, quite frankly. At the moment right now, I don't care, but I am interested to see where this Charlotte and Becky Lynch thing's going. Is Becky Lynch going to turn on Charlotte at some point? I don't know. I hope so. It would make a lot of sense. But, we'll see. But all in all, Becky and Charlotte got to win over Team Bella, or what's left of Team Bella. Brie and Alicia Fox. And Adam Rose dishes the dirt on Charlotte and Flair, and Ric Flair. Adam Rose has now gone back to NXT, thank God. Now, anyway, moving swiftly on to the main event. I already talked about it. The guys picked up where they left off last night, except there wasn't any TLCs. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new World Heavyweight Champion. He's finally done it. And I mentioned this on my podcast, guys, about the fans trying to force, about WWE trying to force the fans to cheer Roman Reigns. Now, it seems that, I don't know if they were forcing him, but the plan that they put together for this, to put Sheamus, a guy who they hated, as the champion, so they can cheer Roman Reigns more when he gets the championship, I got to give WWE, in a way, it seemed to have worked. Because Roman Reigns got some cheers tonight. Previously in places he's gone, he's got boos. He got boos on Twitter last night. Some people tweeted me back when I promoted my stuff last night. They said that one of them said they were glad Roman Reigns got screwed. I mean, I knew he was going to be the champion at some point. It was just a case of when. I thought they would have done it at Royal Rumble or something. I don't know where they're going now with the Royal Rumble. I would imagine Cena will be winning it, from what it seems. But either way, that's a different matter for another day. I have to give Roman Reigns credit. He did earn it. I mean, there was the stuff at Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and I think he even knew that as well on the 24th, but he wasn't ready for it then. And then they build him up to Survivor Series. He wins the title, yanked the carpet out from under him. And the plan that WWE put together seemed to have worked because he got cheered, and he's now the new World Heavyweight Champion. And I got to admit, he damn sure earned it. Whether you like Roman Reigns or not, I'm on the fence. I'm not one of them guys who cheers or boos Roman Reigns, quite frankly. I respect the man, and I don't care what anyone says, he earned my respect against Brock Lesnar because he got the shit beaten out of him. He got the shit kicked out of him at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar and still went toe-to-toe with him. He earned my respect then. I don't care what anyone says. You know, but I've always been on the fence with Roman. I knew he was going to be the breakout star. I knew as a fan they were building him up and taking him out and building him to be the next champion. And he's finally got it. And from considering where he's been this past year, you know, from WrestleMania to this point, I don't care what anyone says. He's damn sure earned it. And salute to him. Where does he go from here? I would imagine it'll be another match with Sheamus at some point, you know, because Sheamus will want a rematch. But where does he go? Will they allow him to be at WrestleMania next year as champion? I would imagine so. Question is, who will be his opponent? It'd be very interesting to find out. And I just realized as well, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, right? Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Brock's supposed to be back next week. Maybe we'll see them as a tag team against the League of Nations. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar versus Sheamus and possibly Alberto Del Rio, considering what I've heard, because apparently the next victim of Brock Lesnar, if you listen to my podcast on this channel, check it out, is Alberto Del Rio. Spoiler alert. But with that being said, guys, overall on Raw, I will give it a solid 4 out of 5, my terms. And I'll give it a 7. Again, 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10 for me. I actually liked Raw. And Raw last week prior to TLC was good. And this week's was good. Wasn't the best Raw I've seen. But hey, they stepped it up a notch a bit and allowed Roman to win the title on Raw. So that's one way to get some ratings, I suppose. Right. That is the end of the Raw review, guys. Now, you're probably thinking I'm going to go now. I'm not. While I'm here, I might as well do what I originally planned. Because this Wednesday night is NXT TakeOver night in London. And I'll be reviewing it on this very channel. It's on at 8 o'clock in the UK, 3 o'clock America time. And, yeah. It's going to be here, and I'll be reviewing it the minute the show's over on the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel, on this very channel. So the only way you get to see it is if you subscribe to the channel, if you want to see that, because it's going to be on here, and I'll be doing it Wednesday night. But until then, guys, let's go and see if we can find the matches that lead in to the card for match preview, Statue Free Month. We've got Bayley's biggest challenge, which is Nia Jax, who's what I call its bodyguard, Eva Marie's bodyguard, and she will challenge Bayley for the women's title. And I see Bayley retaining here. I really do. I don't see much happening in that. I mean, can I see Nia Jax becoming women's champion? No. And she's the bodyguard of what I call it as well, Eva Marie. So I think they're just, building in. I think there's a feud going between Eva Marie and Bayley. And I think Nia Jax could give her a good match. I'm not denying that, but I just see Bayley winning it, unfortunately. Actually, not unfortunately, because I actually love Bayley. I wish she was on the roster, the main roster. But she's carrying the burden as women's champion in NXT, and I absolutely love her. I definitely would prefer her as champion as Eva Marie. But time will tell what will happen there. I mean, Eva Marie, I just don't get it with her. Obviously, she's smart enough to realize, yeah, I will I'll go down to NXT and I will get, some experience. She was smart enough to realize that, and full credit to her, but I'm not convinced. The other match is for the tag team titles, the NXT Tag Team Championships, and it'll be Dash and Dawson. I believe it's Dash and Dawson. And they will go against... Is it Dash and Dawson? Yep, Dash and Dawson. And Enzo Amore versus Enzo Amore and Big Colin Cassidy. Now, if you're going to put the belts on Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, please do it. I'm good. You know what? I'm going to pick them just for that. Because the way they've had chances before, they never had the opportunity. Surely this time around, obviously from this, they're out for payback. Surely they're building to be the next NXT Tag Team Champions. I won't be disappointed if Dash and Dawson retain, but Enzo and Cash are my picks to win and become the Tag Team Champions. And NXT, WWE, whoever's in charge, please put the belts on them. Just get it over with. Please, just get it over with. I'm a fan of Colin, Big Colin. Jesus. God, he's a big motherfucker. He reminds me of Drew Galloway. In a way. Asuka, the Japanese star, takes on Emma in London, and I'm going for Asuka on that one. Emma hasn't really done much, has she? The Pied Piper of Flowing Bubbles. And she's with Dana Brooke. So, and them, ever since Asuka came into NXT, Dana Brooke and Emma have been nothing but pains in the rear ends to them, to Asuka. So, she beat Dana Brooke at the previous takeover. She's got Emma again, so hopefully she can clean sweep. And she's my pick, by the way. Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin. I don't know who to pick on this one. I would imagine it would be Apollo Crews to win. But, would they go with Baron Corbin? Will they allow Baron Corbin to win? I don't know. Am I a fan of Corbin? Not much. People don't get the guy. People boom out the building. And I've always been a big fan of Apollo since he came in. And I've seen his work as well in PCW when he was over here as well. He was Mr. PCW, Preston Championship Wrestling. So I would imagine Apollo will win and get his revenge because it was Baron Corbin who cost him the NXT title. Speaking of the NXT Championship, as well, Mr. Finn Balor defends against Samoa Joe. Now, I like Samoa Joe. I've always liked Samoa Joe. This is the Samoa Joe that I want. This is Samoa Joe that I want. I want to see the badass Samoa Joe, not the main event mafia or the the gimmicks that you got put on. I want to see the Samoa Joe in WWE that was a 2-year champion in Ring of Honor. And I want to see the Samoa Joe that just kicks everybody's ass, who's a badass. And I want to see the Samoa Joe that came to TNA and had that streak that he had. That undefeated streak he had in TNA before he ran into Kurt Angle. And it seems we've got that in TNA, in NXT, and Triple H has actually seen that and thought, why not just be that? Which is good. So if he wins, I'm going for Finn Balor to retain. But if Joe wins, I won't be disappointed. But my pick is Finn Balor to retain because I don't think they've done with him as champion yet. And from what I've said on the podcast yesterday, I think Triple H is trying to cool the jets a little bit of him going up to the roster and planning his long-term future on the main roster before he gets that call-up. Because Triple H doesn't want to see him go up, get called up, not be used, be underused, be misused even, and then come straight back down to NXT. He doesn't want that. He wants to see him succeed, and he's planning that. And if you don't believe me, check out the podcast. But yeah, it should be an interesting. If I've missed any matches there, guys, I apologize. But those are the ones that counted. And yeah, it should be a very interesting NXT TakeOver London. Can't wait to see it. And I'll be seeing it on Wednesday, this Wednesday night as well, 8 o'clock UK time on the network, and 3 o'clock, whatever time in America. Wherever you are, probably on the East Coast in America. We get it over here in the UK at 8 o'clock. So it's going to be interesting to see, and I will be very much looking forward to it. Very much so. Only on the WWE Network, unless there's something I don't know about Sky getting it or whatever. No doubt it'll be on Sky as well, but I'll be seeing it on the network, and I'll be sitting here in this very position, ladies and gentlemen, watching it and enjoying it as well. And I'll be reviewing it the minute it finishes, just like I do with the TLC pay-per-view this past Sunday. Check that out in the description. I'll be doing the same thing with NXT London this Wednesday night. Sorry if you, like I said, guys, I promoted this for 3 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock America time. I promoted this for 3 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, but I'm too busy, and I was up anyway, so I thought, why not do it now and get it over with? Hope you've enjoyed Raw. Hope you will enjoy NXT TakeOver this Wednesday night. Tune into my review after it. I'll be doing a review straight after the show finishes, so look out for that. And the only way you get to see it is on the Wrestling Matters channel, and that's why you should subscribe to this channel, because there's plenty more videos where this came from, and a weekly podcast as well called Wrestling Matters. And the only way you get to see it is if you subscribe to the channel. And also check out my website, guys, theanthonywalker.net, where you can listen to the podcast. You could probably watch this video as well, because I'm going to be putting it up there next to my TLC review. Check out my podcast as well. Check out my Games Matter stuff as well. And just check out my website in general. And give me any feedback. Contact me if you want to do something, whatever. Just sit back, just check it out and give it a good watch. And hell, if you have any advice on it, give me feedback. Contact me. Give me a little bit of feedback. What do you want to see on the website? Do you want to see polls on the website? I'm thinking of doing some polls anyway. So we'll have to wait and see for that as well. And also check out Mystery Island as well. January 2nd. SoCal Val is coming to the Birkenhead. Is it Birkenhead? Yeah. I always get that mixed up. It's so hard to say. It just doesn't roll off the tongue for me. It's in Liverpool, January 2nd in the UK. SoCal Val will be there. If you're in the Liverpool area, get yourself over there. And also check out the links in the description below for more information. And until then, guys, my name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for watching this video, this early, unexpected, impromptu video that I did, even though it was supposed to be promoted for the next day. But hell, doing this gives me a good opportunity to get prepared for my work tomorrow night. So check out my podcast. Check out everything. Facebook.com/WM podcast. This will be going on Facebook as well. So until next time, guys, peace out. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host and creator of the Wrestling Matters podcast and a long-time wrestling fan, encouraging everybody to sign a petition to get this man, this little picture in the corner right here, the British Bulldog, into the Hall of Fame where he belongs. There is a long list of people who are not in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, and deserve to be in there. This man's one of them. Okay, I have been a fan of wrestling ever since I was a little child, and the fact that this man is not in the Hall of Fame, quite frankly, is a joke. He deserves it, and you can help sign this petition to get him in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. To sign the petition and show your support, go to www.teamdavyboysmith.com to sign the petition and show your support and help get this man in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. Long live the British Bulldog. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame. My name is Anthony Walker. Peace out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the NXT London audio and the Raw audio. Both of them got over 1,000 views a piece, and I really do appreciate that, guys. 1,000 views a pop, 1,000 views a piece on there as well. Just love it. Absolutely love it, and they're still growing to this very day, very slowly, but they're still growing. So thank you guys, I appreciate that very much indeed. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, before I go into Smackdown, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what happened on TNA. I'm not going to go through it in depth, because I recorded episodes of Max Wrestling UK on there on Saturday rather, and they told me there was only 2 matches on the damn show. 2 matches in 2 hours. Sick. So it's just basically build up towards the semi-final matches for the World Title Series, which, to be honest with you, has been a complete joke in my opinion. All-Star tag team match, Group Fortune 4 and Group X Division, and Group X Division won that match as well. And I believe another match that was on involved the Bobby Roode as well. You need to think about this, guys, as well. This is a wrestling program, okay? You can tell that these guys are changing very quickly and going on to the what to call it match, the Pop TV network, because they're making changes, and they give you a 2-hour show which is full of talking, and with only 2 matches in the whole show. All-Star 4-way elimination, so Rockstar Spud, Eddie Edwards, Bobby Roode, and Mr. Anderson. And like I said, Mr. Anderson, Eddie Edwards, Rockstar Spud lost to Bobby Roode in that match, and the rest of it will just build up to the actual semi-finals, which I believe the semi-finals matches will be played out, or will be aired on January 5th on the Impact show, the live Impact show. So hopefully that'll be something to look forward to. I profoundly doubt it, but we shall see. We'll see how it plays out. And also next week, guys, I'll be just talking about ICW from next week until January 5th, because I won't be talking about TNA. TNA will be getting a break, and hopefully it can come back to its full glory January 5th. I'll probably remind you about that later on in the show, but no more TNA on the podcast at least until January 5th. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, away from all of that, let's go straight in, head first, right into SmackDown's main talking points as well. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast so far, guys. There's plenty more to come. Like I said, it's an action-packed podcast this week. Got a lot to get through. Sheamus tried to throw Roman Reigns off SmackDown. Sheamus a little annoyed that the world champion is now carrying his belt, so to speak, and tries to throw him off SmackDown. While the new world heavyweight champion Roman Reigns returned to the best show on Thursday night, looking to celebrate with WWE Universe or the WWE fans, former title holder Sheamus had other plans. Shrugging off Reigns' invitation to come down to the ring, the Celtic Warrior explained that a formal investigation has been launched into the Big Dog's attack on Mr. McMahon's family, and that he wasn't allowed to be in the arena. On behalf of the authority, the Irish superstar then sent security to remove Roman Reigns from the building. In response, the Black Cat champion disposed each and every one of them in painful fashion. So let's say if he had to go, he wasn't going quietly. Alberto Del Rio defeats Ryback. Titus O'Neil beats Tyler Breeze. Oh, great. That's great. Titus O'Neil beats Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze been jobbing out. New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston lose to the Lucha Dragons. Becky Lynch beats Brie Bella. Later, Becky was noticeably hurt, feeling Charlotte's interference meant that the title holder didn't believe she could win on her own. Charlotte's been sticking her beak in again. Dolph Ziggler defeats Kevin Owens by disqualification. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that was the main event of SmackDown. And that about wraps it up for the SmackDown and TNA main talking points. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because I'll be back after this with It's Back, ICW, the return to the Wrestling Matters podcast, this side of it at least. The announcements to come later of ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling. I'm going to review 2 episodes that I've seen that I didn't even know were back of the Friday Night Fight Club. That's right, the Friday Night Fight Club returns to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and it's coming up right after this. Quick time out. Stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the SmackDown review. And I forgot, I already played NXT as well, so I'll imagine it's a SmackDown review. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go from SmackDown to ICW. That's right, ICW is back on the Wrestling Matters podcast. I had no idea it was back until I checked it this past week. But, you know what, guys? I'm not going to waste any time. You know, I'm not going to go back and do season 1. I'm going to do them both. Season 1, season 2, episode 1, I should say, and episode 2. Both of them here on this very podcast. And I'm going to kick off with episode 1. And episode 1 was very entertaining. It seems, I'll be honest, I haven't watched ICW for a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff, been working on a lot of things, and I haven't had time to watch ICW, so I've got a lot to catch up on. But it seems there's been a story where Red Lightning is now the majority shareholder and has basically took over ICW, kicking Mark Dallas out and all that. So he starts off, comes out, bans Dallas from the building, sends a message to the roster to pick a side and stay there, and then Polo, and then that was it basically running his mouth because he's the owner now and majority shareholder, and he's taken over the place, and Black Label era, as he put it, is in full effect. Polos are out for the tag match, more on that later. The match is kicked off with NAK versus the now 0G champion Davey Boy and Kenny Williams. Now, two great teams. The NAK team was Stevie Boy and BT Gunn, and these two were great tag team. Outside of ICW, they've actually been a tag team and won some championships, won many titles, so this would be the best team for the NAK, to be honest with you. No taking away from BT and Chris Renfrew, but these two were great. There was a lot of miscues. NAK dominated most of the match, a lot of miscues, hard-hitting stuff, just two great teams going at it, and it all ended with the NAK winning by Stevie Boy's move, the Destroyer, and yes, Chris Renfrew got involved as well. But it was a great tag team match nonetheless, and I wouldn't mind seeing another tag team match between them two as well. Nikki Storm promo with Sami Zayn back then. Davey Boy and Kenny cut a promo with Jennifer, the gorgeous Jennifer. Oof, it's absolutely gorgeous. I wouldn't mind seeing her a lot in ICW. Anyway, and Kenny and Davey, by the way, cut a promo on NAK saying enough's enough. You know, they hate the NAK. Blah, blah, blah. And then the next match was Joe Coffey and Lionheart. Some great wrestling between these two. It was like these two knew each other so well. You know, even match. Back and forth stuff. Some great wrestling action between the two. Lionheart is the bad guy now, the bad motherfucker, as he put it. And, you know, since he's come back, I mean, he's went away with that neck injury, did all the training and everything, come back thinking he was going to get cheered, but realised the crowd started cheering Jackie Polo in his match, and he loses at Baromania. And it's been, you know, bad motherfucker since there, through that part, and it was great. Like I said, great match. The match culminated, the turning point was when that deadlift suplex that Joe Coffey does, done in Lionheart, because we got up from it and he was all wobbly and everything, and a discus clothesline, which in a way Lionheart was not in the perfect position, because you could tell that suplex done him in, because Lionheart was not in a perfect position. He was very woozy, very weary, and it done him in, and he got the victory. Joe Coffey, that is. Lionheart eventually ended up cutting an angry promo later on in the show. Now, Liam Thompson and Carmel segment. Now, these two were supposed to have a verbal match and everything, but basically Carmel put him in his place, and these two will wrestle each other, believe it or not. It's been signed, Carmel versus Liam Thompson at Square Go, and these two will go at it at Square Go in a match. Carmel eventually ended up putting him in his place, and it looked like, as well, from what I saw, that Liam was on the verge of crying. He looked like he had that face like he was going to burst into tears. But when Carmel turned her back, Liam attacks, sends a message. The security didn't do nothing, morons. And then, one thing led to another from there. The women's title match, which saw Viper and Nikki Storm. Viper, the very first ICW Women's Champion, has a great match with Nikki Storm. Sammy gets involved on 2 occasions, almost giving Nikki the win on the second one, but Viper takes advantage of a miscue between Nikki and Sammy and hits the snake bite for the win. It'd be interesting to see where these three go, because if you believe, we will see another triple threat match between these two, or three-way dance, whatever you want to call it, because Kelly Way wants a title shot and is going to get it, because after the match she attacked Viper with a chair and hits a gory bomb on the chair. Red Lightning comes out, grants her a match, and then Kaylee Ray decides to do what she was going to do before Red Lightning came out, and that was hit the concerto on Viper. Now, it seems that it can go two ways with this. It's going to be Kaylee Ray and Viper for the women's title. They say in a couple of weeks. I don't know when that is. Also, Nikki Storm is, if you believe the rumours, WWE bound. So it'd be interesting to see where these go as well. I mean, even Kaylee Ray's been in WWE competing in NXT, jobbing to Nia Jax. So it'd be interesting to see where this goes and what happens. But at the moment right now, we know Kaylee Ray gets a title shot and she will go one-on-one with Viper. Now, there seems to be a Rockers situation going on between the sisters, the Owens twins. Casey Owens hits an angry promo on her sister and doesn't like the fact, I've missed a lot of ICW and I have to catch up really quick. Doesn't like the fact that her sister has been getting the spotlight and she hasn't, and she's had enough. She even referred to herself saying that she's not the Marty Jannetty of the group, she's the Shawn Michaels of the group, and look how that turned out. So a Rockers like split between the sisters. Have to wait and see what further details go off. Could it be the last time we will see Noam Dar? More on that later in episode 2's review, because it was announced that he would face Drew Galloway on the episode 2. And then it went to the main event, which was Polo Promotions defending the ICW Tag Team Championships against Geezers. And the guys you see in Progress Wrestling, by the way, apparently they've signed a contract with ICW, so you may not see them again in Progress Wrestling for a while, unless Progress and ICW are working together. At the start of the match, Polo Promotions was just toying with Sebastian, slams after slams. They were toying with both the Geezers eventually, because all they were doing was slams. The Geezers definitely had an education of what it's like to be slammed by Polo Promotions, and then they finally got some offense in. Two great teams going at it, but it was a match that was totally dominated by Polo Promotions from start to finish, basically. Yes, the Geezers got their offense in, but it was like the Geezers were jobbing to Polo Promotions. It was like an NWA kind of thing, with Ric Flair jobbing, defending the NWA title against a jobber, just to make him, look good, kind of thing. Because they couldn't keep up with it, and then Polo Promotions eventually get the victory with a dominant win. And the highlight of the match was a top rope scoop slam from Jackie. Yeah, you heard me correct. He did a power slam from the top rope. Also after the match, 55 attack Jackie and work on his leg and attack both Polo Promotions and Geezers and demand a tag team ICW Tag Team Championship match. Now, that was a great show. I'll give that 4 out of 5. I really would. If you're talking my terms, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And a good way to start Season 2 of ICW's Friday Night Fight Club. Right, on to Episode 2, guys. Now, Episode 2 of Friday Night Fight Club, presented by ICW, kicked off with Damo versus Wolfgang. Now, don't misunderstand me. This was, on paper, this was a match that I was very much looking forward to. But it had a slow start to begin with. Highlight of the match is where Wolfgang came off the top rope, jumped right into a bro kick by Damo, almost cleaned his clock. Damo took 3 attempts to get his finishing move on him, which didn't work, which didn't pan off. So it took another move, which was a reverse DDT, to get the win. Now, first half of the match was very slow, deliberate pace to the match, and only picked up halfway through the match, which is where the action began, the fast-paced, hard-hitting action. And it all led to, as I said, Damo winning eventually. And also, Wolfgang tried to get a cheap shot after the match with the brass knuckles, but Damo was ready for it. And you got a little preview as well of the Square Go, January 24th. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, ICW competing with WWE, because that's the same day Royal Rumble's on too. That should be a good weekend. ICW, WWE, 100% you'll probably go ICW. Anyway, moving swiftly on. The next match was, or the next bit of that was Mikey Whiplash was in action. Now, he was supposed to wrestle Jack Gallagher, but Jack Gallagher had travel issues, and they've got some unfinished business, so he turned his tables and turned his attentions to the guy who he also had some unfinished business with, Lewis Girvan. And Lewis walked around with the old Zero G title before they changed it and everything. Now, obviously, the current Zero G champion is Davey Boy, and everybody, he was walking around with the very old school Zero G championship, the one that Mikey Whiplash had back in the day. Yes, Mikey Whiplash was a former Zero G champion, but he changed it, and it seems that now ICW have a catchweight division, because he proclaimed that belt he was carrying around the ICW catchweight title. And on to the match we go. Now, start to finish, this was just basically one word in this match: wrestling. I think it was sort of similar to the old World of Sport wrestling back in the day. Hold for hold, move for move, just some good old wrestling. And I'm not talking the Big Daddy stuff with giant haystacks, so if you know him as Loch Ness in WCW, I'm not talking that stuff. You know, good old fashioned, straight up wrestling, mat wrestling at its best. But then it also picked up towards the end of the match. Very picked up towards the end of the match. Lots of counters in it, and it was just great to watch. And then Mikey hits the zombie maker, and then this voice comes over, start with a singing on it, singing a soundtrack from a movie, and out comes Jack Jester. Lewis Garvin takes advantage of that distraction and gets the victory over Mikey Whiplash. And then Jester sends a message to Whiplash. It seems that Mikey Whiplash has another problem on his hands, and he delivers a promo later on responding to what Jester said, which was very personal, going back to the days where these two knew each other very well and these two were friends. Basically, Mikey Whiplash challenged Jester to come and, quote, kill him. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Renfrew cuts. I have a very tough time watching this match. Chris Renfrew cuts a shoot promo on the status of ICW and that, and the way it's gone and everything, and you know, it's far different from what it used to be, and the words toned down came into it, which you have to tone down certain things, yada yada yada. Obviously Chris had a problem with that. And backstage, the NAK kidnapped Veronica Lestrange and one Jennifer Louise, and they played a game of would you fuck Veronica or would you fuck Jennifer? And the crowd obviously picked Jennifer, and she took the NAK's finishing move for it, which was very, very tough to watch. Kenny, who they attacked to kidnap Veronica Lestrange backstage, Kenny came out, tried to attack, Davey Boy tried to stop it all, but it was just too much, and that was probably a tough to watch. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of the NAK, love the NAK, Kaylee Ray, Wolfgang, Stevie Boy, BT Gunn, and Chris Renfrew himself, but they went a little too far there. A little bit too far. They would have been best off giving it to Veronica Lestrange, and I probably wouldn't be talking about it this way. I mean, no offense, Veronica, but, you know, Jennifer's absolutely gorgeous. Yes, I do have a soft spot for Jennifer, I will admit that, ladies and gentlemen, and she's absolutely gorgeous, and she didn't deserve that. Speaking of didn't deserve, Wee Man gets in the face of Chris Renfrew and pays for it. And I think it's going to be somewhere down the road, guessing it's Square Go, Wee Man one-on-one with Stevie Boy, because Stevie Boy challenged him to a match or to a fight, because Wee Man always likes to be the stand-up guy, and the guy that, you know, doesn't know when to quit, you know, tries to stand up for himself but always seems to get himself into trouble. More on that on probably next week's episode of the podcast. Now, Noam Dar went one-on-one with Drew Galloway. Red Lightning abuses the power, which he does in this match as well. Not going to talk about Red Lightning, or at least I try not to. Dar cuts a promo on Red, said if he's going to leave, he's going down swinging. Red introduces Drew Galloway, but takes a dropkick in the face by Noam Dar, and then Drew comes out, and Dar, proving he's one step ahead, fights in the crowd. Highlight of the match for me was Drew Galloway kicking Dar off the balcony. Thankfully the security cat catched him, otherwise that would have been a little bit ugly. And then Red abuses his power again, and then they eventually got back to ringside. And the story of the match was, after taking that fall, Noam Dar just wouldn't quit. He went toe-to-toe with him. He just wouldn't quit. And it was a really good, well-thought-out match. A well-planned-out match, too. The Black Label did their damnedest to try and stop or try and get rid of Noam Dar. And then Drew goes to hit the Future Shock. Hits it. Mark Dallas's music plays. He's supposed to be banned from the arena. Chris Toll walks out, provides the little distraction. Dallas comes in from the crowd and whacks Galloway with a golf club to allow Dar to get the victory. Noam Dar stays. Black Label's plan went up in smoke. All in all, like I said, 4 out of 5, and I'm giving it again 4 out of 5. ICW is the place to be, ladies and gentlemen. ICW is just epic. I'm interested to see what's happening with this angle and everything, and more on ICW later, because I have an announcement to make, and I'll mention that in the outro episode, or the outro segment of this episode. So look out for that as well. But all in all, ICW, it's great to have the Fight Night Fight Club back. It gives me something to talk about as well. Oh, and by the way, guys, I'll mention this here as well, in case I didn't mention it the first time around. TNA is having a break from the podcast. What you heard earlier on was the last time you will hear TNA, at least until January 5th, because, quite frankly, I am done with it. This whole world title series is a joke. So starting January 5th, when TNA eventually comes back the week after, TNA will return to the podcast. 2 matches in a 2-hour show, and you wonder why they're in trouble. Anyway, I know what you're thinking. You're disappointed. Like I said, I did it as fast as I could and everything. That's why I didn't want to talk about it. I just went through the whole thing, and it was just like, whatever kind of thing. But anyway, moving swiftly on, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back right after this quick timeout with Ring of Honor. So stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the ICW reviews there. Episode 3 will be reviewed next week. And now, it's time for Ring of Honor, ladies and gents. Now, ROH this week kicked off with a couple of squash matches. It was basically based on squash matches, warm-ups for the opponents for their respective matches at Final Battle. Excuse me. Adam Cole squashes Corey Hales. He did put up a good fight, but we all knew Adam Cole was going to win eventually, and he did with the super kicks. War Machine squashes their opponents as well. Again, all for their tag team match with the Kingdom. If you've seen Final Battle and you know what happened, you will understand where it is. Dalton Castle went 1-on-1 with Mike Posey, and Dalton won eventually. After using Posey to take out Posey's entourage, Dalton gets the win. Calls out Silas Young. Silas attacks Dalton from behind after the boys came out and provided the distraction. Jerry Lynn segment is interrupted by Jay Lethal. Obviously, Jerry Lynn didn't take too kindly to what Jay Lethal Jay Lethal didn't take too kindly to what Jerry Lynn said, and Jerry Lynn thinks that AJ is going to beat Jay Lethal, and an argument was back and forth between the two. Roppongi Vice versus ACH and Matt Sydal, 2 great tag teams just going at it. These two are good, and ACH and Matt Sydal, this was like a warm-up for their 6-man tag with Alex Shelley against KRD, The Addiction, and Chris Sabin. It was just a great tag team match all around. Not bad for something that only lasted 10 minutes or TV time remaining. But yeah, Matt Sydal and ACH got the victory in what was a great tag team match, and ACH won the best of 5 series between the two, so their tag team is now stronger than ever. Question is, what's the future for the team? Will they get a tag team title shot? I know they probably got a long way to go, and I wouldn't want to wrestle the tag team champions at this moment in time. But anyway, that about wraps that up for the Ring of Honor. Just something quick there, guys. Nothing simple, nothing too long, because like I say, it was basically built on squash matches. It was okay leading into Final Battle, 3 out of 5, and more on Ring of Honor next week as well. And I'm just going to take a little quick time out, guys, and I'll be back right after this with, I'll be back right after this with the final part of the Michael Larkin interview, and I'll be back after that with the announcements on ICW, Progress Wrestling, and a few other promotions here and there, plus an outro. So I'll see you in a bit. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host and creator of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and a long-time wrestling fan, encouraging everybody to sign a petition to get this man, this little picture in the corner right here, the British Bulldog, into the Hall of Fame where he belongs. There is a long list of people who are not in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, and deserve to be in there. This man's one of them. Okay? I have been a fan of wrestling ever since I was a little child, and the fact that this man is not in the Hall of Fame, quite frankly, is a joke. He deserves it, and you can help sign this petition to get him in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. To sign the petition and show your support, go to www.teamdavyboysmith.com to sign the petition and show your support and help get this man in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. Long live the British Bulldog. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame. My name is Anthony Walker. Peace out. Going to you now.
Yes.
You've been a wrestling fan like myself. I was a wrestling fan since the early 90s, late 80s. My very first pay-per-view was SummerSlam 91. Considering when you started watching wrestling to now.
Yes.
To this point where we are at right now. What has been your... First of all, what was your very first pay-per-view you ever watched? Wrestling pay-per-view, of course.
Okay. Vengeance 2002. Main event was The Rock versus The Undertaker versus Kurt Angle in an incredible match for the WWE Undisputed Championship, which The Rock pinned Kurt Angle to win the title. And then the following month, I went to my very first pay-per-view at the Nassau Coliseum, which was Brock versus Rock. SummerSlam 02 for the Undisputed Championship, which Brock Lesnar won. And that also had the infamous Shawn Michaels versus Triple H non-sanctioned match, which was just epic. Shawn Michaels' first match back. That whole card from top to bottom was just tremendous.
Yeah, the SummerSlam 02 as well. That was the that was the night Brock became WWE champion for the first time.
Yes.
Like I say, guys, my very first pay-per-view was SummerSlam 1991. Yes, you heard me correct. 1991 pay-per-view that was headlined by a handicap match involving Hulk Hogan, the Warrior, against the Triangle of Terror.
Now,
with Sid Justice as the referee. Go on.
I was going to say, was this the one where that they talked about in the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, where he held Vince up for money and he wouldn't go out unless he got paid X amount of dollars?
Yeah, this was the night where the Vince ceremoniously fired
the Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior for what Michael correctly said. Because apparently he came up with this idea to hold up for money, and Michael correctly said everything else there. They had the match, he paid them the money, but when Vince paid him the money, he also gave him a pink slip as well, and fired his ass. At least until WrestleMania 8. At the most.
Yes.
Because the next time we saw him was at WrestleMania 8.
Yes, at the end of Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice.
Yes, which is still a mystery to me why that match was booked instead of Hogan and Flair. And I'll never understand that until I go to my grave. But in any event, my very first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 8 as well. And I have watched wrestling right now, and I can probably give you a list. I mean, Michael gave you one off the top of his head right there, and then he went to the SummerSlam show to see Lesnar beat Rock for the championship. I can give you a long list of, of who to, who would be in there and who wouldn't be in there, of the wrestling shows that I've seen over the years, or I've watched, the pay-per-views that I've watched, and I guarantee we'd be here to I could probably do that in 3 shows, because there's been a lot as well. I mean, I remember back in the day, I was watching WCW when WCW over here in the UK was on ITV. It was on free television network, before Sky and cable and whatever the fuck as well. Even though cable was kicking about beforehand, back over here, I mean, like I say, here's a question for you.
Good.
Over here in the UK, have, like I said, if being on 3 networks, have WWE ever been on free networks in the, because we have a free network over here, which is ITV, which is BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and Channel 4, which is ITV's TNT's number 3, and Channel 4, and even Channel 5 as well. And it leads into the Sky and whatever, or the Virgin, or whatever cable you have. Have WWE ever been on free TV? Over in the, I mean, whatever you guys consider free TV, not the cable stuff like the USA Network. I mean, surely you've got, like, if you took your cable network off, surely you would have some, like, free networks, like, that don't need cable or don't need to be a part of cable. If you took your cable networks off, have WWE or professional wrestling in general ever been on that?
Not to my knowledge, but like I said, I was actually going to say, yeah, mostly as I remember growing up was just the USA networks, the TBSs for WCW, the TNTs, the Fox Sports Nets for TNA Impact, but not to my knowledge anything as far as free TV goes.
Yeah, because that's correct. I mean, back over here is free TV. We had, I mean, WCW was on Channel 3 in late 80s, early 90s, and WWE was on Channel 4 over here in 2000. That was back when I think I was in my last year at school that time, or second from last, whatever. But yeah, I remember that very well. That was the 2000s where I believe it was just after WrestleMania. No, it wasn't just after WrestleMania 16. They didn't have WrestleMania on. That was obviously the big pay-per-view payout. They had you know, quite a few on there as well. They had Backlash after the WrestleMania pay-per-view. They even had the Royal Rumble 2000 as well, which was on. I don't think they played No Way Out. I think No Way Out was on Sky Sports. You know, they kind of shared it, kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't not all, you know, the networks were on. It was all kind of sharing kind of thing. But yeah, that was then, and then it eventually went up to pay-per-view and Sky Sports, and then now the box office. Have you watched any, or have you got to see any, like, or be aware of any indies? I mean, what's your take on Ring of Honor at the moment?
I enjoy it. I've enjoyed this week's with the whole Dalton Castle and War Machine against the Kingdom. I've been a fan. First Ring of Honor show I actually went to out here was in Ring of Honor, I'm going to say it was 05, and it was Bryan Danielson was on the card, and he beat James Gibson, who was Jamie Noble, for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. And we also had Jay Lethal versus Low Key on that show. You got to see Homicide versus Colt Cabana, and just a lot of great talents on that show. Nigel McGuinness. I've been a fan since 05. That's where I got started into that. I used to go to Lake Grove in New York here, Sports Plus. Used to have those events, and I've been a fan since 05, and I'm a fan now. And then we have Mikey Whipwreck's New York Wrestling Connection in Deer Park. You know, a lot of indies out here.
Yeah, I mean, Ring of Honor seems to be doing good business. I mentioned this when I was on James Belmont's Offshoot Radio program. Podcast, rather, whatever you want to call it. And we talked about Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe back in the day when Kurt first came to TNA. And obviously he wrestled and had them great matches with Samoa Joe. I discussed this with James, that he probably shouldn't have beat Samoa Joe first came in. Well, James said that. But do you agree that what is missing nowadays in wrestling is not enough time limit draws? And do you believe that time limit draws, as far as storyline wise goes, of course, do you believe they could still, I mean, if done right, of course, they could still play a part in professional wrestling today? I mean, all right, Ring of Honor are doing it, as we all know, with the 60-minute draw they had with Lethal and Strong. But do you think there needs to be more of that, as in, like, not just in indie wrestling, but do you think WWE need to incorporate a little bit more of that as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. To incorporate, the fuse. The guys have this. They go back and forth. The one guy gets a win, and then the other guy gets a win. Then you have like this. Then you have like the rubber match, but then it's a draw, and then you do something else to culminate the end of it. But yeah, definitely have the time limit drawing, because makes fans want to see it more. Just it all depends on how you book it, obviously. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think this with James as well. Obviously, it all depends on how you book it, but he obviously agreed with me that if it was me, I would have booked Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle, the very first match of the three. The very first match in the three, I would have booked that with, maybe I'm going to put this, like a time limit draw first, and then have Kurt Angle win.
I mean, I like that, man, because, you don't get a clean finish for Joe. I mean, Joe still remains undefeated, so yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's what I said anyway. But I mean, we still had the great matches from them three anyway, and I think they made each other in both the matches as far as TNA goes. But we all know the direction ended up. Well, that's Samoa Joe ended up going.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm just trying to think at the top of my head where I can go. Apologies for any interruptions during all of this. If you heard any interruptions or anything during all this, guys, or anything, but it is what it is. I'll try and edit it as best as I can.
No problem.
But it is, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It just is what it is. This is just general wrestling chat, general wrestling banter, as we always do. I would say right now in the market, they'll probably, NXT are looking for talented wrestlers, and it seems WWE raid Ring of Honor, don't they? I mean, It's clear as day. They always end up bringing Ring of Honor talent. Seth Rollins, aka Tyler Black. You've got Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson,
Sami Zayn, El Generico.
Sami Zayn, ladies and gentlemen, El Generico. And people like that. Do you see any of the roster in Ring of Honor now at some point going to WWE? I mean, I could see somebody go out of there. I can name you one. But could you see, off the top of your head, could you see somebody or a bunch of guys going from Ring of Honor, and if so, who?
Okay, I'll mention this. I mean, lately, the latest thing I read about as far as like NXT goes is that Solomon Crowe, who was formerly Sami Callihan, just asked for his release, and he got it. So no more Solomon Crowe. So, I mean, if they want to get some more new talent from Ring of Honor, I'd get Adam Cole. Kazarian was there in 2005 for a cup of coffee. I mean, he quit like after about say a month into it, and he's matured after that. But I could see possibly Frankie Kazarian. I don't know, Adam Cole definitely, and I don't know. I'm gonna stick with those two.
I'd probably say that as well. I'd probably say that as well. Kazarian would fit, and hell, quite frankly, Christopher Daniels would probably fit in NXT. But back then, there was no NXT with Kazarian, and he was getting fucking destroyed up on the main roster, so that's why he left. I did not know Mr. Crowe has left.
Yeah, they just announced that. Like yesterday or the day before. It was during the week sometime. Yeah, Solomon Crowe, I guess he wanted his release. They weren't doing nothing with him, so he requested his release and he got it. And now he's taking bookings for CZW. Excuse me. And he's going back there, I think.
He's going back to Combat Zone Wrestling. I've had somebody who's I think works or associated with Combat Zone Wrestling, and has offered me some interviews with ZZW wrestlers, Combat Zone wrestlers, to promote their Cage of Death. The Cage of Death show, which is coming up as well. I haven't heard out, but I don't watch that much Combat Zone Wrestling, unfortunately. But, I'm willing to help any promotion there is. Ladies and gentlemen, if they need help, or if they want my help, I'll be glad to give them it. At the end of the day, wrestling matters. I don't know if I've ever been a fan of Combat Zone Wrestling, to be honest. I used to watch it when it was on the wrestling channel, saw it a few times as well, and it's never really grabbed my attention that fully, like the ICW and the Progress Wrestling has, and the NXT has, and Ring of Honor. It's never really grabbed my attention, but I'm willing to work with them, and I'm willing to work with people, not just Combat Zone Wrestling, other wrestling promotions as well, to help us get them over as best I can as well. But yeah, maybe look out for that in the coming months. I haven't heard now back. I just had it on the Wrestling Matters Facebook page, facebook.com/WM podcast. And I've just had it to the point where, where it could be. I could get some interviews, but I'm always up for interviews, no matter what. I'm always up for interviews as well. It's just getting them. That's the difficulties. That's why I haven't had that much interviews during these first 87 episodes of the podcast. I've had a few, but I haven't had that much. I'm looking to branch out. I think I might wait until I've hit the 100 mark and then start really going out there. At the end of the day, the Wrestling Matters podcast is a small podcast at this moment in time, but I am busting my balls to get this thing out there to you people and to more people, because at the end of the day, just like the wrestling channel, the Wrestling Matters channel as well, I want this to be a podcast where people can come on and express their opinions without being told what to do or what to say, or at the end of the day, I don't cater to kids. I'm not PG as many people probably think I should be. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm not a PG guy. I don't kayfabe on here. I don't promote like stories off the back. I only do it if it's necessary to do it. I.e. the Cesaro one, because that was necessary to do it. I mean, I don't know what you guys are like on the S&M show podcast, but I don't copy other people. I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube that promote and get news from other sources and then put them up on YouTube for people to know and whatever. I don't do that. I try and be original. I try to stay original and just bring the best that I can in professional wrestling. Yeah, seems to be working so far, especially on the YouTube page, since I've got 138 subscribers at this moment in time, at least. Hopefully that will grow, and it will grow if I have anything to say about it. But like I say, I'm just trying to keep everything original. I'm not trying to copy anybody. I'm not trying to compete with anybody too.
That's pretty much what I do, Anthony. I was actually going to say, you make a great point there, because that's usually what I do with my wrestling audios. And when we do the S&M Show podcast, we discuss some wrestling. We discuss, his topics, what he likes. So we just go back and forth, and we're just very original with the stuff that we do. So
I don't compete. Oh, don't compete with that or anything like that. I mean, I never signed this up to compete with anybody. I mean, Sunday Segway, they do their thing, but Kenny always watches my back and everything, and I'll sometimes go on there with him. Unfortunately, the last time they invited me on the show, I couldn't because I was working the Leeds match the next day. They invited me on the Saturday. I couldn't. They do a show on the Sunday. I couldn't do that because I was working the Leeds game on that day as well, which was a shame, but hey, it is what it is. Money comes first. Got to make that paper.
Exactly.
But any opportunity that I can get to go on that show, I do. He's been very busy as of late. I've been very jealous of him because he's had Jim Smallman for an interview from Progress Wrestling, which I'm looking to do. But I'm going to try and see if I can sweet talk another promoter from Progress Wrestling as well. Maybe I'll get Jim as well, because I actually like Jim. But I'm not trying to compete with anybody as far as the podcast goes. If you're willing to work, if you want to work with me, get me on the YouTube page, get me on the Twitter page, WM Podcast, or at Tony_Walker on Twitter as well, facebook.com/WM Podcast. Get me on there as well, and hell, I'll be willing to work with you, depending on what you bring to the table. If it's what I like, I'll do it, or I agree to it. If not, go elsewhere, because I'm not here to waste time, and I don't want anybody wasting my time. And if you're going to waste my time, don't bother contacting me.
That's how you got to be.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the Michael Larkin podcast. Just a quick note, guys, that was part 3. There will be another part next week, part 4, and hopefully you will look forward to that, but more on Michael Larkin next week. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the Michael Larkin, final part of Michael Larkin's interview there, or the little chat that we did. That will go up sometime this week on the SoundCloud and YouTube pages, so be sure to check that out as well. Also, you can check it out on theheadanthonywalker.net, my website as well. I will put it on there. And I've just got a few quick things to make you guys aware of. This Tuesday, tomorrow I've got a Raw review coming on the Wrestling Matters channel, youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. Also, I was on Max Wrestling UK, the Max Wrestling podcast this past week, and I'm looking to be working with them from now on, from this point going forward as well, because I had an absolute blast. If you haven't heard it, go and check it out. It's on the Swerve Talk Network as well. Go and find it. Go and check it out. It was just a complete blast. It is at Max Wrestling UK on Twitter. Be sure to check it out. Go and find them. Go and just enjoy what they're doing. They have a magazine thing that they do as well, which I will be checking out from this point forward. It was just an absolute blast I had on the show. Redeemed myself a little bit in the quizzes that I took part in with me and Roxxie. Yes, Roxxie from Offshoot Radio, who'll be back on the podcast in the new year, ladies and gentlemen, so get ready for that as well. I will put her back on this podcast if I have to drag her on, but she needs to be back on the podcast. Also, as well, if you listen to that Max Radio podcast, because you will hear probably the funniest promo I have ever heard in my life. And it had Roxxie in tears, and it had Roxxie on the floor, rolling, laughing her ass off, and it had me just like, GG, you can't top that, and I was laughing as well. So be sure to check it out. It is an absolute blast. We recorded 2 shows. One went up yesterday. The other one's up next week on the 27th. All part of the Swerve Talk Network. Be sure to check all that out as well. At Swerve Talk on, I believe it's Swerve Talk on Twitter as well. Be sure to check all that out. Yeah, because it's an unmissable. My debut on the Max Wrestling UK podcast, or the Max Wrestling podcast, whatever you want to call it. It is fucking epic. Go and check it out. And it was one hell of a debut. So nice. I get to be on twice. It was just fucking great. So we definitely need to do that again, Daz. Unbelievable. And probably, again, the funniest promo I will ever hear in my lifetime. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out The Mystery Island as well. You know the score by now. The Mystery Island on Twitter, facebook.com/Back to the Island. SoCal Val is in the area and will be invading the area January 2nd. Be sure to get in there. Birkenhead, if you're in the area, go to Mystery Island and get yourself down there, and just go down to see SoCal Val basically as well. They are part of the partners as well. Shout out to OSW TV. Shout out to RTFW as well, the Falcon. Shout out to you, sir. And as well, our partners and me, the Wrestling Matters podcast sponsors his little thing that he does, what he does on Twitch with the wrestling side of it as well. He does what I used to do back in the day, and I'll probably still do to this very day, promote his own little creative wrestling company that he does with a video game. But it's all good entertainment, because I've seen a couple of episodes as well. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, that is about it from that part of the promotion. Now I'm going to get on to the main announcement. Like I've said, I think I've mentioned that I could be on Swerve Talk Radio. If not this week, maybe next week. I am in negotiations with that. You know about that. I'm trying to figure out what's the best time, because like I say, I don't want to trot in any tours or anything like that with Offshoot Radio. Also on this segue to make it look like that I'm competing with them, because I'm not. We're all one big happy family, and I'm not in this game to compete with anybody. I'm in this game to have fun, talk wrestling, and make money. But anyway, on to my major announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Did some research this past week involving the Google Hangouts on air, Google Plus Hangouts on air that I do when I record my videos that I do on YouTube. The live streams that I do. And the audio that you hear when I put it on the podcast. I've come up with an idea. It's more than likely going to be after Christmas this is going to happen, guys, but I have revamped and I've got a new idea for the Progress Wrestling and the ICW podcast that I do. So it seems that I be transferring them from a podcast to a video podcast, kind of like what you're seeing right now. If you're seeing this on YouTube or you're seeing these pictures across the thing, you may get this on Google Hangout. It's going to be part of Google Hangout. All you're going to see is me, my logo to the channel and everything, and just me talking wrestling on it. So I figured that out. It seems like a hell of an idea to do, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and it's more than likely going to start right after Christmas. So be sure to check that out as well, and be sure to be on the lookout for that as well. I'll talk about it more on future podcasts as well, leading into that as well. I'll talk about it on next week's show as well, which will be the Christmas show, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, yes, it is the Christmas show next week. I was going to do it this week, but I thought, no, why not? I'll do it after that, so it'll be on the 28th. It will go out on the 28th of December. Might be a little bit early, depending on, as the NAK would say, card subject to change on that, but it's going to go out at its regular slots. That's a guarantee. You can hear it on YouTube, on SoundCloud, YouTube, and my website, theanthonywalker.net. I'm creating another website as well, Weebly using Wix, so hopefully I can get that up and running as well before long. Not to the stature of what I've got with the Weebly website. I might look to do something different, and we'll just see how it progresses from that point on, and then when it comes to the point, I may change things around. I don't know, but I'm not looking to do anything big with the Wix website. I'm just testing it out to see if it will work, and hopefully Max Wrestling UK, Daz Up Max Wrestling UK can help me with that. So if you're listening to this, brother, please, I'll greatly appreciate some help with that. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Wrestling Matters podcast, episode 90, 10 away from 100, ladies and gentlemen. 100th episode, February 29th. Yep, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I've done my calculations, and it looks like February 29th will be the 100th episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast. A rinky-dink little podcast that started April 7th of 2014, from what it seems, has become a phenomenon. And I can't wait to do more, ladies and gentlemen, and I literally cannot wait for the Wrestling Matters podcast 100th episode. I plan to do something big. Question is, will it get done? It will if I have anything to say about it, but time will tell. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, big thank you to Michael Larkin. Shout out to Max Wrestling Podcast, Max Wrestling UK. Check them out, guys. Like I said, shout out to Daz. Shout out to OSW TV. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you as well. Thank you for your support and growing work things that you've done with me as well. Also, shout out to Wrestling Express as well. Look forward to working with you in the new year. And yeah, with that being said, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is the HD at the end of the day. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the 28th. Until next time, peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14! Naked till death!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
'Cause that's the bottom line. 'Cause Stone Cold said so.